morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, February 26th, 2018. I am Dave Biddle, very happy to be joined by Alex Gleitman. Alex, let's talk corruption in college hoops. We've known stories for a while about Thad Matta being completely clean and refusing to cheat. We'll get to some of the other stories outside of Ohio State, but do you have a story or two that you can share about the Buckeyes missing out on a recruit due to Thad's refusal to cheat?
Without going into, things too in depth and implicating some people, I'll say it was a very surprising turn of events a few years back when Kobe Simmons was making his decision. I think Ohio State was the school he wanted to be at. I think Ohio State was the school that did the best job recruiting him, and then kind of all of a sudden the kid did a complete 180 and decided to commit to Arizona. I don't even know if he had ended up visiting there yet. I know he certainly hadn't taken an official. I don't even think he had taken an unofficial. So that's just, one example of how, again, not accusing anyone, not saying a kid took, not saying a coach took, but I know that there was some things involved in that recruitment, and I remember hinting at the time on Bucknuts that was kind of the case. And that's one situation that I think is pretty clear. There are definitely a few others. Again, I don't want to implicate any kids that are, still going on or any schools. I'll let this thing play out and we'll write a book. But I think the Kobe Simmons one I'm a little bit comfortable kind of commenting on, that I think Ohio State may have lost that one due to some sketchy business, as I think a lot of people kind of already had that one on their radar.
A lot of people, myself included, were critical of Thad last few years of his tenure for not recruiting well enough. How much, and during that time, I always did give the caveat, listen, I know for a fact, because I know through my sources, the guy just refused to cheat. I mean, Jared, you don't even need sources on the Jared Sullinger situation. Jared Sullinger, I think, put it best, and I don't think this was like him making a joke he put on Twitter, Thad Matta would not even pay to get me a Gatorade out of a vending machine. I mean, that's just how by the book he was. But I don't know if vindication is the right word, but how much does this kind of get Thad off the hook for maybe what we all thought were lackadaisical recruiting classes toward the end of his tenure?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the health issues contributed. I think he probably could have did a better job with some of his staff hires as far as going out and getting grinders and guys who were going to recruit with their hair on fire, like Urban Meyer always talks about. So I think it's a little bit of that, but I also think it's a big chunk of it is, he wasn't willing to give the $10,000 handshakes or $100,000 handshakes, as Sean Miller apparently liked to give. So I do think that hurt him. I outside of Kobe Simmons, I could probably off the top of my head think of 4 or 5 other situations with big-timers, and I'm not saying Ohio State absolutely would have landed them, but I think that they were certainly right up there in the mix and potentially could have landed them. I think it absolutely hurt him. He's just a guy who did everything right, and that ultimately led to his downfall and his firing from Ohio State. But I do think there was another part of that where maybe his health and his ability to be super energetic on the trail, and then, his staff, some of his hires could have been a bit better. Because we're seeing a guy in Chris Holtmann who I also believe to do everything the right way. I think, he's got a younger, energetic staff. He's a younger, energetic head coach who's out on the trail, and I think they're at least making more of a buzz than they have the last, 3-4 years.
No question about it. Yeah, I echo your thoughts about Chris Holtmann. That's his reputation as well, that he's a guy that will not cheat. And does pretty damn well. We'll get to specifics about the Ohio State basketball team this year here in a second. I do want to ask you one more question about just, from the global perspective, this college basketball scandal. Some people are saying Armageddon. We'll see. Might this not end up being as big of a deal as we think in terms of certain programs getting hammered by the NCAA?
I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's going to be Armageddon. I don't think it's going to be like, Arizona got caught and that's going to kind of be everyone else's. Coach K is going to be protected, and Coach Izzo is going to be protected. There's people who think those guys are kind of untouchable, but Pitino's gone. Sean Miller's about to be gone. Those are coaches of 2 big-time programs. I'm curious to see. I think the question is how much proof does the FBI or the NCAA have like actual proof? I mean, if they, Sean Miller's calls are wiretap, that you're screwed at that point. How much of that type of stuff do they have, or is it going to be mainly the agents and the runners and the AAU guys and the shoe guys and the, all those guys instead of the coaches? And so it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. I think you're going to see more than just an Arizona or a Louisville get hit with sanctions or coaches being fired, but I don't think it's going to be complete Armageddon.
Wisconsin fell just short at home yesterday of upsetting Michigan State. Gave it a good run for a while. Spartans pulled away at the end a little bit. But still, I mean, even though Ohio State's not going to win the Big Ten regular season championship, which was really a shame, you go 15-3 in the Big Ten and don't win the Big Ten title. That really sucks, especially when you're picked 11th in your own conference and you go 15-3. But Buckeyes, Alex, 24-7 overall, 15-3 in the Big Ten, number 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Pretty freaking amazing season so far.
Yeah, I would have bet you $1 million before the year. You told me 24-7, second place in the Big Ten at 15-3. Looking at a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, I literally would have bet you $1 million that would not happen. So I think that tells you how incredible this season was. I think a lot of pieces fell the right way for Ohio State. I think that needs to happen for a lot of people. But I think that a weaker Big Ten. I think just getting Keita Bates-Diop back and him being the player he's supposed to be. I think only playing Purdue and Michigan State once in conference. I think those are all things that were really helpful for Ohio State. But at the same time, I think Chris Holtmann and his staff did an outstanding job getting these guys motivated to play this year, playing together, playing as a team, buying into his system, playing with maximum effort, night in and night out. And it's incredible what they've done. I think, to me, the most impressive part is that they've really done it without a true point guard, which is so important in college basketball. I mean, C.J. Jackson and Andrew Dockich, not taking anything away from them. I think C.J. is a guy, he's okay. He's serviceable as a point guard. I think he might be a little better being an off-ball type of guy. And Dockich, I think he's maximized his production this year for Ohio State. He's done what he's supposed to do. But without a true starting elite point guard to do what they've done, I think is extremely impressive. But it's also a reason why I think I'd like to caution fans to not put their expectations too high come the Big Ten and NCAA tournament, because that's really when point guard play is most valuable, I think, to a team. Keeping a composure, keeping a flow of the game, keeping a pace, being able to create opportunities for your teammates. And I'm still a little skeptical of that for Ohio State, but I think, to me, that's most impressive at their success is how they've been able to do it without a true point guard.
And we will pivot to football to close the show here. Spring ball opening up about a week and a half. Let's take quarterback off the table, as I've been saying recently on the show. That's the most obvious one. Alex, what storylines interest you the most as the Buckeyes head into spring football?
For me, I think it's offensive line. You're replacing not only two of the most important positions on the field in the center and the left tackle, but you're also replacing two extremely talented players at those positions in Billy Price and Jamarco Jones, respectively. So my eyes are going to be on the offensive line. I think there's a number of candidates. There's a number of ways they can move the pieces around. I don't know if anything's necessarily going to be decided by spring. You'd like everything to be locked in probably after like the first week and a half of fall camp. But there's a number of candidates, both veterans and younger guys, that are going to be going after those open positions. I think the only positions set are one of the tackle spots, Isaiah Prince, whether he stays at right or ends up moving to left tackle. That's what I think is going to happen. And then Michael Jordan at left guard. Outside of that, I think the center, the right guard position, and then one of the tackle spots wherever Isaiah Prince doesn't play, that's where my eyes are going to be. I think there's a number of other positions that are intriguing, but for me, it's those guys on the line.
Great insights and wisdom, as always, from my guy Alex Gleitman, live from New York City, or I guess, recorded from New York City. Thank you very much, Alex, and thank you all the listeners out there for tuning in to the show. I appreciate it. I hope you have a great day. Let's hear that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.